Hey YouTube, it's Natural GC here again. Today I'm going to talk about something called If It Fits Your Macros, also known as IIFYM. This is a strategy, or I should say an eating style, that focuses more on three basic nutrients: carbs, proteins, and fats. And a lot of people have bulked and dieted and had a degree of results from this type of dieting. So what it means is basically you have a specific number of grams of fat, a specific number of grams of protein, and grams of carbs that you must follow, and it's broken down on a day-to-day basis. It's three numbers, and you almost have a free range on what you want to do with those numbers. Loosely put, you could drink a Coca-Cola instead of having oatmeal for breakfast, and judging on the calorie total of your day and knowing what your macro totals are or should be, if you follow them, technically speaking, in a mathematical approach, you should lose fat on your lose body fat if that's your goal, or potentially gain muscle or fat, wherever you are in your training. So now there's a lot of problems with this type of dieting. The first thing is I don't consider it something that a beginner should undertake. Why? Because it's really hard to figure this out. I mean, you have something like MyFitnessPal might give you a good idea, like these little apps that you can run on your phones. They might give you an idea of what you're taking in for carbs, proteins, and fats. However, I'm going to give you a long list of problems with dieting like this. And the first thing is this: carb totals often include things like vegetables. I know MyFitnessPal can count vegetables as a carbohydrate, whereas a typical bodybuilder will not count something like broccoli or asparagus as a starchy carb. Therefore, they're not looking at broccoli as a source of carbs, so they're not counting that into their carb intake. Whereas some of these apps, I don't know, unless there's a way to tweak them a little bit, I'm not sure if they can differentiate between carbs that come from starch, like ones that would actually affect your body and provide energy, or ones that are coming from fibrous vegetables. The other thing that I don't understand about If It Fits Your Macros dieting is that fiber actually on most nutrition facts and most labels is listed as a carbohydrate. However, fiber does not always digest very well. I'm not sure what your body does with it, but I doubt that it can be digested completely, especially insoluble fiber. I doubt that that's even going to be, you shouldn't even count that towards your carb intake. Whereas if you're just looking at the nutrition facts on the labels of your bread or your oatmeal or your brown rice, and you don't take into account that a great deal of that is fiber, you're going to find you're having less fuel because your body is using less of those carbs. So there's a problem there. And another problem is when you just lump all fats together and say, okay, we have a fat total, you could be taking in sort of like the worst fats for your body. It wouldn't differentiate between if you're taking in coconut oil or hemp seed oil or flaxseed oil. It wouldn't differentiate between those oils and something like margarine or whatever McDonald's cooks their French fries in. I don't even know. But it might not differentiate between those types of fats. So you're getting this fat that's pretty much almost like poison for your body if it's a trans fat. And If It Fits Your Macros doesn't give a shit. It doesn't, pardon my language, but it doesn't care what type of fat you're taking in. So you could just be taking in all this processed junk food that's like throwing your body completely off. Maybe in the short term it isn't doing that much damage, but in the long term, I mean, you don't want to have to face those effects later on. So, and then as far as protein, you could even say that if you don't look at this type of protein you're getting, you could be getting a great deal of protein that isn't quite what we would call complete protein. I mean, a lot of people are going to argue about this, especially the vegetarians out there, that it doesn't always matter if you're getting a complete versus an incomplete protein. And, you know, people, you know, a lot of bodybuilders and athletes can take in things like lentils and quinoa and still get adequate protein in their diet as long as they're pairing it up with a little bit of complete protein. But I also don't believe that the If It Fits Your Macros dieting actually, you know, looks at what type of protein. I would recommend getting some animal proteins if you're into like bodybuilding or trying to build a lot of muscle. However, there are people that are doing it without it. So, I mean, we don't know everything in the industry, and we're guessing a lot, and a lot of it's based on just the way we've always done it rather than a lot of studies proving the contrary. So anyway, what do I think of the If It Fits Your Macros diet? IIFYM. I think if you're an experienced individual and you want to try it out, it's something you could do. I don't recommend it for the beginner. It's too loose. There's just too much freedom on what type of foods you can eat. And it also, I mean, if you're not looking at your blood sugar content, and if you're not looking at meal timing, if you're not, you know, looking at the stability of your body, like in the course of a day, like is your blood sugar stable before your workout? If you loaded up on all your meals for breakfast and then waited 8 hours and then worked out, I guarantee you're probably not going to have the best workout. So I don't know about this IIFYM thing. Yeah, I just would say use it cautiously, try it out, but I would still have an element of proper meal timing, proper getting sort of higher quality foods in. You can't just put low quality fuel in your body, even if it's in the right balance or the right ratios. If you put junk in your body, you're going to get low output. It's going to catch up with you eventually. Anyways, that's just my take on the IIFYM diet. Hopefully that gave you guys some ideas on what to do with it. Anyways, thanks for tuning in again, and off to the gym. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you soon. Peace.